Let's talk about film.
Let's talk about film. I want to know. First of all, I've seen basically like every movie you ever wrote.
Well,
Um,
that's not true. I've
mm,
written many movies where I don't get credit, so you wouldn't know half the stuff I've done because the credit situation is a unique thing where the guild decides through a process called arbitration. So there's movies where I've there's movies where writers write on and they don't have credit, and then there's movies where one writer will have credit, but there were like five writers on it, and no one knows. So the guy who has credit or the woman who has credit, they get all the credit.
but
So
why do they do that?
it's through the guild because it's a complicated process. If when you get in some of these films, especially comedies and some action movies, they go through like I don't know, 5, 11 writers. They go through so many writers. So how do you determine? It's kind of I guess it's complicated for them with residual payments and with credits to credit like 14 names on the writing. I mean, just it doesn't look good. So
Well,
they
if that's
they
what it takes, that's what it takes. I still don't understand why. I
yeah.
don't get it. I hate that whole.
Well,
Sounds
if they
like
let's say
bullshit, Alan.
Well, no, it's not. It's not. There needs to be a process in place. Not that the process that's currently in place is the perfect process, but it is a good one, and it's done by the guild. It's not done by the studios. It's done by the union, the Writers Guild. But if let's say you're working on a comedy and you bring in someone to write 5 jokes, right? Like one lines of dialogue. Should that person get credit too? Like, should that,
Why
you
not?
know what I mean? Well, what if you wrote the whole script and then someone came in and wrote 5 lines? Tyler, you should share credit with that person. And so it seems like he wrote half and you wrote half.
Well, why
That's
does
not
it have to
fair.
be? Why does it have to be broken down like that? Why can it just be the same way there's a day player for actors on set?
Yeah, I suppose. I guess, if a movie has 50 actors in it, all of them, but then you do get the above the line, the
Hmm.
starring Brad Pitt. And then at the end, you get this crawl and a tiny,
Right.
Alan Loeb and a tiny name or whatever. I don't know. I just know that the guild decides who gets credit. Credit arbitration is a very complicated and contentious process, and so there are many movies I've written on that I have no credit on, and
Like what?
there.
Share. Can you
I
share?
mean, yeah, yeah, sure. There's been many. Comedies. I did this movie called The Change Up. I wrote on this movie called The Change Up with Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman. I wrote on this movie called romantic comedy called Maid of Honor with
Oh,
Patrick Dempsey.
wow.
Do you remember
Of
that one?
course. Hell yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that one.
yeah. There's yeah.
Well, do you
Um,
get a good payout though?
yeah, you get paid. You get paid. I mean, you get paid to write. That's the beautiful thing about Hollywood is